The stars drifted silently above the edge of the galaxy. No one came here anymore. The space around Veltra Prime had been dead for nearly 80 years. After the colony fell, the Council declared the sector off-limits. The official reason? Unstable. Gravity zones. But everyone knew the truth. Veltra Prime had been erased. Not by war, not by a natural disaster, by something worse. Only one small structure remained, an old, rusted deep space listening post floating alone near a collapsed wormhole. Its systems ran on auto, its crew long gone. For decades, nothing stirred. No signals, no movement. Till now. Inside the cold metal walls of the station, a light blinked red. Then another, and another. A quiet whir filled the command center as dusty monitors lit up. Old machines shook to life. The relay dish outside twisted toward the wormhole. A message had arrived, compressed, ancient, and short. It repeated in a cold, robotic voice. They're back. We need the Deathworlders. Then silence again. 200 light-years away, the Galactic Council met in secret chambers, buried under a black ice moon. The tall alien leaders shaped like lizards, clouds or walking crystals, staring at the message on the main display. It had arrived just 1 hour ago. This is not possible, whispered Chancellor Vera of the Kellen. Her blue-green skin shimmered with nervous heat. The swarm was destroyed, another counselor said. We all saw it. The humans led the final charge. They sacrificed a third of their kind to burn the last nest world. No nest was found on Veltra Prime, someone reminded them. And no human has been seen in over 80 years. Vera added, not since we voted to cut ties. We promised peace. We agreed to. Isolation. An old crystal being named Tarn let out a soft chime. Peace never lasts, and humans do not forget. Long silence followed. Then the High Mediator leaned forward. His voice was low and steady. Send the signal. The other counselors stared. To Earth's? Vera asked. You can't be serious. The mediator replied simply, the galaxy cannot fight the swarm again, not without the Deathworlders. Deep in the outer systems, far beyond council-controlled space, there was a cold, silent planet covered in storms. It had no name on official maps, no cities, no life signs. But beneath its icy surface, inside a massive mountain bunker, buried in rock and steel, something stirred. A red alarm blinked to life. Commander Harlan woke from deep stasis and stepped out of the cryopod. His breath steamed in the cold air. A synthetic voice welcomed him. Command authorization. Harlan. Earth Marshal Protocol. Death signal received. Blinked slowly. The old war was supposed to be over. They had trained for years in silence. No contact. No news from Earth. Just cold drills, old stories, the knowledge that one day they might be needed again. Now that day had come. Harlan walked through the long, dark corridor, past sleeping soldiers in pods, past weapon vaults sealed with DNA locks. He entered the command center and placed his hand on the old metal table. Confirm message. The display flickered. The message played. They're back. We need the Deathworlders. He stood there for a long time. Then he whispered to the empty room, wake them all. The cryo chambers opened one by one. Men and women stepped out, each with the same expression. Calm, cold, ready. These were not normal soldiers. They had been born on Earth, raised on a death world where storms could burn skin and beasts hunted humans for sport. Their bones were denser, their reflexes faster, their training endless. They had been created for one reason, to fight the things no one else could. Now they were awake. Again, among them stood Rika, youngest of the Fireborn unit, her dark eyes sharp with purpose. She had never seen real war, only training. Only stories from the old guard. She had waited her whole life to be called. And now it was here. The team gathered in the war room. Harlan stood at the center, armor already forming around his body like a second skin. The swarm has returned, he said simply. We don't know how many. We don't know where they came from. But they sent a message from Veltra Prime. That place was left burning. No colony survived. but someone or something sent this call. He looked around that room. Long ago, we were pushed out. We were told we were too dangerous, too violent. The council made peace by cutting us loose. The soldiers nodded silently. They built their peace on our blood. But they still remember who saved them. That's why they called us back. Rika stepped forward. What's the plan, sir? We go to Veltra Prime, Harlan said. We find the source of the signal. We confirm if it's the swarm, and if it is. He paused, his voice dropping. We remind them what Deathworlders do. On the Council's homeworld, fear spread faster than light. Civilian worlds were told nothing, but fleets began to move in silence. Drones scanned ancient battlefields. Defense grids were powered up for the first time in decades. Whispers spread among the high-born houses. Earth has returned. In the dark of space, the Earth fleet launched. The ships were black as void, shaped like blades, with engines that made no sound. No lights, no flags. Just death moving through the stars. Each ship carried only a few dozen soldiers, but that was enough. The first wave would be small, silent, meant to investigate. It's meant to strike if needed. Harlan led the mission personally as the ship entered warp. Rika stared out the small viewing port. She had never seen the stars move like that, twisting, warping, folding around the ship. She had trained for this. She had killed in simulations. But now it was real. She looked at her squad, 6 of them, each dead silent. They had grown up in different parts of Earth, some in the frozen zones, some in the burning deserts. But they had one thing in common. They were forged to fight. The journey lasted only 5 hours. When the ship exited warp near Veltra Prime, the crew gasped. There was nothing left. The planet floated like a ghost, covered in black clouds. The surface was cracked and burned. No lights, no signs of cities. No life, just ash. Scan for signals, Harlan said. The ship's AI scanned the orbit. No movement, no comms. No signs of any fleet. But then, a ping. Low-frequency beacon, the AI reported. Its origin. Surface. Coordinates locked. Stunned. The team, Harlan ordered. The shuttle dropped fast into the planet's atmosphere. Lightning danced around them. The clouds were thick with ash and smoke. As they broke through, the remains of the colony came into view. Twisted metal, craters, burnt towers, skeletons. No one spoke as they landed. The soldiers stepped out, rifles ready. The air was poisonous. They activated filters in their helmets. Rika led the front line. Her boots crunched over black sand and bone. This was a city, she said softly. Thousands lived here. They're all gone now, another replied. They followed the beacon through the ruins until they found a tan old comms tower still barely standing at the base of it. A strange object pulsed with light. It looked organic, Sir, Rika called. We've got something. Harlan walked up and stared at it. It was a transmitter, but not human-made, not even council tech. This was swarm design. The team raised weapons. Get back, someone shouted. But before they could react, the object sent out another signal. This time it wasn't a message. It was a call from deep underground. Something answered. A low rumble shook the earth. Dust fell from the ruined towers. Cracks appeared. In the ground, then a sound. Not mechanical, not natural. A hive song. Rika froze. She had never heard it before, but she knew. Every soldier did. They had heard the recordings in training. The swarm was awake. Harlan's voice came over the comms. Everyone back to the shuttle. Now they turned and ran. The cracks widened. The ground collapsed behind them. Its long black limbs reached out. A massive beast, half flesh, half metal, erupted from the ground. It screamed. The soldiers opened fire. Flames, plasma. The creature burned, but it kept moving. Rika jumped onto the shuttle ramp just as it lifted off. Below, the beast howled in fury, back on the ship. The team watched the planet from orbit. Confirm it, Harlan said. The AI scanned the biosignatures. Swarm presence confirmed. Multiple underground nests. Estimated activity. Hi, this is not a dead world. Harlan looked at his team. We send the data to Earth. And then he turned back to the window. We bring the fire. The ruins were still burning when the last human ship left. It's Veltra Prime. The orbital strikes had shattered the old hive system. The planet's crust was broken. The nests were buried in molten rock. From orbit, it looked finished, but Earth's soldiers knew better. Nothing about the swarm was simple. On board the lead vessel Nightingale, the lights in the war room dimmed as the last seismic data streamed in. General Kale stood over the console, arms crossed, eyes fixed on a flickering red zone near the equator of the planet. The rest of the surface was quiet, but that spot wasn't. It's still warm, Kale said. Too deep to hit with orbital beams. That means it survived. Across the room, Rika stood quietly, her armor scorched from the last battle. She hadn't said much since the mission. She had watched half her squad go down before extraction. Some had screamed into the cums. Some had just vanished under the wave. She had made it back, but she knew. She had only seen the edge of something bigger. I want to go back, she said quietly. Kale turned to her. That place is sealed in lava. There's something still down there. He didn't argue. He knew she was right. 3 hours later, a small recon unit dropped back into the ash-covered ruins. No swarm, no movement. But strange things remained. Twisted shapes, buried in black stone. Broken machinery half fused with bone. And one thing that shouldn't be there at all. An intact data core, buried deep under the base of the ruined city. The black box pulsed with dim red light. It wasn't human tech. It wasn't swarm design either. It looked like both. Rika and her squad dug it out with power tools, cutting through fused stone. When they finally pulled it free, the core let out a soft pulse. Then a whisper filled the air, a voice. He's alive. Everyone froze. Repeat, Kale ordered from the ship above. Rika held up her recorder. The voice came again, broken, faint, but real. He's alive. They're building. It's changing. It was a human voice, and not just any human. Rika, I knew that voice. Her blood ran cold. It was her brother. Tomas had vanished 5 years ago. He was part of an elite science unit working with alien tech far from Earth. The report had said his ship was destroyed in a jump accident. No remains, no signal, no black box. But now, Rika stared at the data core like it was a ghost. She whispered, "He's not dead." The team returned to orbit immediately. Kale examined the data. The voice fragment wasn't the only thing. There were coordinates encoded deep inside the transmission. They pointed to a sector far beyond Council territory, uncharted space. A region marked no entry even by ancient Earth records. The name of the system? Karen's Vale. Rika stood at Kale's side as he stared at the map. "That's where he is," she said. "Or that's where they want us to go." She didn't care if Tomas was alive. She'd go to the edge of the galaxy to find him. Kale tapped the panel, prepped the jump. "We leave in 6 hours." But before the jump was complete, a new message came through secure Earth channels, encrypted. Heavy lockdown clearance. Kale opened it. It was from Earth's High Command. Message: hold position. Do not engage. Council demands full report. Kale scowled. He knew what that meant. The Council had been watching, listening, and now they were afraid. They didn't want Earth pushing deeper, didn't want the truth to come out. Too late, Kale sent a reply. "They came to us. Hey, we finished what they started." The ship jumped into hyperspace. Rika sat alone in her bunk, staring at an old photo of Tomas. They had grown up in the same storm zone in Earth's eastern Badlands. He was smarter, always fixing things, always curious. Could have been a scientist on Mars, but he chose to work on deep systems, secret work. She always thought he died out there. Some accident. Some quiet end. But now she wasn't sure. The voice she heard didn't sound like someone asking for help. It sounded like someone watching. When they arrived at Karen's Vale, the ship slowed. No stars, no planets. Just dust and black gas. Nothing until a shadow moved in the dark. The scanner blinked. One ship. No ID, no transponder, no signs of life. But power still flowed inside. Kale gave the order. Board it. Rika and her team moved in, floating through the airlock. The ship was quiet, no lights, just long halls filled with dust and wires. They moved slowly, scanning everything. Then they found it, a chamber filled with glass tanks. Each tank held a figure. Some were alien, some were human, some were something in between. Hybrid experiments, swarm limbs, human spines, mechanical lungs. Rika stared at them, frozen in shock. One of the tanks had a name printed on it. Tomas. But the tank was empty, and the glass was cracked behind them. A door opened. Footsteps or Ikea spun. Weapon raised, but the corridor was empty. Then a voice filled the room. You followed me? It was Tomas, but not the Tomas she remembered. His voice was deeper, slower, like it echoed from inside metal. They showed me things, Rika. Things Earth never let us see, she shouted. Where are you? You shouldn't have come. She raised her weapon. Show yourself. But he didn't. He only left one final message before the ship began to shake. They're not the same swarm anymore. Then the lights went red. Explosions rocked the walls. Kale's voice screamed in her ear. Rika, out. Now. The team ran behind them. The lab ship began to break apart. But before the final blast, one drone escaped, carrying the data Rika had pulled from the console. Back on the main ship, the file opened. A map not of one system, not of one hive, but of a network. Hundreds of points across the galaxy, each one pulsing with swarm energy, each one marked awakening. Kale stepped back. It wasn't a return, he said. It was a signal. The swarm hadn't survived. They had waited, and now they were moving. All of them. The silence before the storm didn't last long. Inside the Earth ship Nightingale, alarms screamed. Red lights pulsed down the long corridors. Pilots ran to their fighters. Soldiers locked armor and powered weapons. The ship's AI counted down. Swarm. Vessels approaching. Impact in 47 seconds. Kale stood on the bridge, calm but tense. Behind him, a hologram showed the enemy fleet closing in 3 large swarm ships, 2 escorts and something else. Something the scanners couldn't identify. He had fought the swarm before, but this was different. These ships weren't the old ones' ugly organic shells floating through space. These were sharper, faster, shaped like weapons. They had evolved. Kale. Open comes. All units. This is not a drill. Engage immediately. Defend the Nightingale at all costs. In the launch bay, Rika pulled her helmet on, sealing it with a hiss. Her team stood around her, some nervous, some smiling like they had waited for this all their lives. Let's see what they're made of, one muttered. The hangar doors opened. Black space greeted them, then fire. Enemy blasts lit up the darkness. Human. Fighters shot out, dodging plasma streams and returning fire. Some were hit instantly. Others flew between the enemy ships, laying mines and striking engines. Rika's team dropped in a stealth shuttle. Their mission: board one of the swarm vessels and disable its core. Simple plan, dangerous path. As they flew, the unknown ship in. The distance pulsed. It didn't fire, it just watched. Rika felt her skin crawl. She didn't know why, but something about it felt wrong. Almost human. Kale noticed it too. That ship. Focus scans on it. I want to know what it is, but the AI responded with static, unable to scan. Signal interference. Structures unknown. Material not in database. Then shoot it. Kale ordered one Earth cruiser, turned and fired a railgun at the unknown ship. The projectile hit. No damage, not even a scratch. Nothing. Kale asked. The AI paused. Projectile never touched it. What? Impact confirms. But physics do not apply. Object is present, but not fully here. Kale's jaw tightened. Keep trying. Meanwhile, Rika's shuttle slammed into the side of a swarm ship. Cutting lasers opened a hole. The team jumped in fast, guns ready. Inside was madness. The corridors pulsed like veins. The walls were alive, moving, breathing suddenly from the darkness. A dozen swarm beasts charged, claws, teeth, tentacles. Rika's team opened fire. Heat rounds sizzled through alien flesh. Acid sprayed. One soldier was dragged screaming into a hole in the wall. Another planted a charge and sealed it. Behind him, boom, the hallway shook. The team pushed forward. Their target was the core deep. Inside the ship's spine, as they moved, they saw something else. Tanks like the ones on the ghost ship. Inside, more hybrids, humans, half transformed, eyes replaced. Bones wrapped in armor, one on the walls, words scratched into metal. I saw the stars inside. They spoke to me. We are the swarm now. Rika felt cold. This wasn't just war anymore. This was conversion. She found the core room and placed the burn charge. The team fell back, fighting every step. Blood, fire, and screams filled the tunnels. Extraction now. She shouted. A grappling cable launched from the orbiting Earthship and yanked them back through the breach, seconds before the detonation. Behind them, the swarm ship began to break apart, flames bursting from the inside out. One down, but in orbit. Things were not going well. 2 Earth cruisers were disabled. One exploded, sending chunks spinning into space. Kale gritted his teeth. Bring the Nova Lance online. That's a prototype, the weapons officer said. Unstable. We don't even know if we're out of time. The Nightingales. Underbelly opened. Long cannon slid into view. A beam charged. Aimed at the second swarm ship. Fire. Kale ordered. The beam lanced out white. Like a star in a needle, it hit. The swarm ship exploded in full silence. But the unknown ship still did not move. Rika returned to the bridge. Its armor scorched, face tight with exhaustion. Kale pointed at the floating shape. Tell me what that is. The AI answered, still unknown, but it is. Looking at us. Looking. It is transmitting now. Low band. Direct signal. Play it. The ship's speakers buzzed. Then a voice came through. You cannot stop this. Everyone went still. The voice was human. Rika's face turned pale. It was Tomas again. We are no longer separate. We are one. They gave us choice. We chose. Power, Kale snapped. Cut the feed. But before it shut off, one last sentence came through. You made us Deathworlders. Now we've made ourselves gods. The ship vanished, not into hyperspace, not a jump. It simply folded away like it had never existed. The battle ended. No one celebrated. The swarm had evolved. They had taken humans. They had built something. Gale looked at Rika. We're not just fighting monsters anymore. She nodded. We're fighting ourselves. The Nightingale floated in deep space, its hull scarred, engines cooling after the battle. Inside the war room, no one spoke for a long time. They had one. But it didn't feel like victory. Rika stood at the window, staring into the black void where the strange ship had vanished. Her fists were clenched. Her brother was alive, changed, speaking like something else, something not human anymore. She wanted to scream. There was no time. Kale moved through the room, eyes hard. He had seen things like this before. Governments. Hiding secrets, enemies rising in the shadows. But this was different. They hadn't just found the swarm again. They had found a plan. One built over decades. Maybe longer. And it smelled like betrayal. Open a channel to Earth's High Command, Kale said. The connection took several minutes. Then a man's face appeared on the screen, sharp uniform, clean office, Earth's golden eagle behind him. General. Kale, the man said calmly. We've received your latest report. Heavy losses, high energy readings, confirmed hybrid data, and a voice message. Kale didn't reply, simply uploaded the recording. Tomas's voice played through the speakers. You made us Deathworlders. Now we've made ourselves gods. Silence followed. The man on screen didn't even blink. Kale narrowed his eyes. You knew. The man gave a slow sigh. We had suspicions. Kale stepped closer. How long? A long time. Who gave them human subjects? The man didn't answer. Rika stepped into view. My brother was taken 5 years ago. The officer's tone was calm. Calm. His mission was off the books. Deep science, he volunteered. For research outside council jurisdiction. Research, she said. He's fused with a swarm hive. He's not himself anymore. The man gave a slow, careful nod. That was not the original goal. Kale's voice turned sharp. We handed our own people to the swarm. We made a deal. The words dropped like a bomb. Kale stared at him in disbelief. You did what? The officer's voice remained steady. The council came to us 75 years ago. After the First War, they knew the swarm wasn't truly gone. But they didn't want open conflict. They wanted insurance. A backup. So Earth gave them something. Experiments, Kale growled. Ow! Soldiers. Well, Warner Grant Tower. Volunteers. The officer said quickly, all signed, all legal, all secret. In exchange, Earth kept its freedom. The council kept its peace. But it wasn't peace, Rika snapped. It was surrender. Kale's hands were shaking, not with fear. With rage, you gave them Earth's blood to protect council borders? It was better than total war, the officer said. Now, you've poked a nest that's been growing for decades. Kale's voice was quiet now, deadly quiet. They started this, not us. You didn't have clearance to go beyond Veltra Prime, the officer replied. You were ordered. To observe, not engage? Kale leaned close to the screen. I'm not following council orders anymore. The officer's face darkened. If you push forward, Earth will deny involvement. You'll be on your own. Kale didn't blink. I've been on my own since. The council stabbed us in the back. He cut the feed. The room fell silent. Rika stepped beside him. They're afraid, she said. Kale nodded. Because they know what's coming. He tapped the control screen and pulled up the stolen map. From Tomas's lab, the web of active swarm hives spread across the galaxy. Dozens of points pulsed in red. At the center, a planet with no name, just a code. KX991. In the council's private zone, it was massive and live. A mega hive. Kale's voice was low. Cold. This is where it ends. We're going there, Rika asked. Not yet. Return to the strategy team. There's one more stop. First, he tapped another location on the map, a hidden lab station in the dead sector of Grave Point. Far from council space, that's where they built the first hybrid. That's where this began. Rika looked at him. And what do we do there? Kale turned away from the map and stared at the ship's forward window. We burn it. Hours later, the Nightingale dropped out of warp over Grave Point. The lab station hung alone. No lights, no guards. But the sensors showed it was alive. Buried deep inside were files, sealed memory cores, and something else. Another voice. Rika's voice shook when she heard it. It was Tomas again, not Liv this time, just a recorded log. Day 26, the merge, is working. The swarm don't think like us, but they feel. They don't use words. They use sound, light, memory. They don't want war. They want to become. Rika pressed play again. The final sentence chilled her blood. I'm not human anymore. But I remember being your brother. Kale gave the order. Destroy everything. The soldiers moved through. The station? No resistance. Just silence and flickering lights. They found tanks, frozen hybrid bodies, empty cages. The data was copied and erased. Explosives were set. Rika stood outside the station as it burned behind them. She looked at Kale. What? If there are more like him? There are, he said, but we'll find them, if they can't be saved. Kale didn't answer right away. Then he said, we make sure they don't feel pain. The flames rose behind them, lighting the stars. The council had lied. Earth had betrayed its own, and now Swarm had something worse than numbers. They had knowledge, and they had Earth's blood. Weeks passed, the fires had cooled. Stars were quiet again. The swarm was broken. Without the Ark, the hive mind collapsed. Many hybrid stations went silent. Others self-destructed. Patrols sent across the outer rim found only wreckage drifting. Bones, empty shells, blackened labs. But the damage was done. Earth lost 5 fleets. Thousands of soldiers. Dozens of ships. Rika. Kale stood at a quiet base near Mars. A memorial wall had been raised, names carved into black stone. His hand touched her name. Rika, Solon Deathworlder, never for Jotiana. Didn't speak. He just stood there. Others came and went. Some cried. Some saluted, but Kale stayed still, because he knew something the others didn't. She might not be dead. Far beyond council space, in a forgotten system without a name, something moved. Inside the wreckage of the Ark drifting dead Dark One, signal remained weak. Hidden, alive, a pod floated free. Its shell half melted, its interior lit by a dim red light. Inside, a heartbeat slow, steady, a human hand, wrapped in metal, one eye opened. Glowing faint. Glue, R.I. kick. Her body hurt. Her mind burned. But she was alive. She didn't remember everything, only flashes. Tomas screaming, the bomb, the fire. A voice telling her to survive. Something dragging her into a pod before the final collapse. Her breath shook. She tried to sit up, but the pain was too much. Something inside her had changed. Her arm. It wasn't just human anymore. It was swarm metal, but clean, smooth, not alive. Tomas had done it. Tomas had done it. In his last moment he had saved her, maybe even healed her, or maybe changed her. She looked out the cracked window. Stars stretched far. It was empty and cold. She was alone, but she was not afraid, because she was a Yay. Deathworlder, and Earth didn't forget its own. Back on Mars, Kale received a coded signal, encrypted, ancient. Not council tech. Only 3 words came through. Still here. Watching. He smiled. Just a little, then he turned back to the stars. The war was over, but legends had been born. They came when called. They answered with fire, and when they left a warning. Never wake a Deathworlder. The cold silence of space didn't last after the Gravepoint station was destroyed. The Nightingale stayed dark, hidden behind a moon made of iron dust. The crew didn't rest. They prepared. The data they pulled from Gravepoint had revealed more than anyone expected. 12 hybrid labs, not 1. Not 2. 12. Hidden across space, protected by old council codes, most of them built using Earth's own stolen tech. Kale stared at the list. His jaw tightened. How many humans are inside? I asked. The AI answered coldly. Unknown. Logs are corrupted, but each station shows active life signs. Mixed DNA. They're still experimenting, Rika said. Her voice was low, filled with disgust. Kale nodded. Then it's time. He opened the war file. A file that hadn't been touched in 70 years. Hellfire Protocol Level 0 Engagement Authorization, Earth Marshal. Only Kale entered the code. The lights in the war room turned red. Across the ship, soldiers froze. No one had ever heard those words spoken aloud. not since the old war. Hellfire Protocol, Kale said, is now active. No questions, no diplomacy, no survivors. One by one, the targets were locked in. 6 teams, Kale ordered. 6 labs. We hit them. All, same hour, same fire? What about the last 6? Rika asked. Kale's answer was firm. We finish the first wave, then we deal with the rest. Earth Command had already gone silent. The Council had stopped answering calls. The Deathworlders were alone now, but they had always fought alone. Each strike ship launched into stealth. Jump. No signals. No warnings. Rika led Team Black Ember, heading for Lab 4, codename Spindle. Located inside a hollow asteroid drifting between 2 black stars, as their ship dropped out of warp, the asteroid turned slowly ahead of them. No lights. No noise, but the scanner screamed. Massive biosigns detected. Heat cores active. Defensive. Cannons armed. It's not a lab anymore, Rika said. It's a hive. The pilot nodded. Then we burn it. They came in fast, no stealth now. The ship broke through defense fire, losing an engine, but held course. The side doors opened mid-air. Rika and her team jumped through flames, landing hard inside the station's upper sector. They moved quick straight to the power core. Inside, they saw what the lab had become. Hundreds of bodies, some still breathing, some fused into walls, machines. Each other. Hybrid humans wired into swarm tech, whispering in broken language. One lifted its head and smiled at Rika. Sister. Her blood turned cold. It wasn't Tomas, but it remembered her. The creature lunged. Her rifle fired. The whole squad joined in. Flesh, metal, screams, smoke. The corridor became a firestorm. One of her men fell ripped apart by claws. Another was pulled into the vents. Rika didn't stop. She reached the core chamber and planted the charge. Then she turned. Behind the glass wall was a large tank. Inside floated something. Massive, twice her size. A pure hybrid. Its skin was smooth, armored like a beetle, its eyes glowing, but its face was almost human. It stared at her, then it spoke. You're too late. She fired. The glass cracked. The creature didn't move, just whispered, "We are already inside," and the charge exploded. The station shook. Flames rushed up the halls. Rika ran through fire, screaming into coms. A team member pull out. Now, only 2 voices answered. The others were gone. The extraction ship hovered just above the surface. Rika jumped as the platform collapsed below her. The ship sped away as the asteroid split apart. Rock and black fluid pouring into space. Back aboard the Nightingale, Kale received reports. Lab 1, burned. Lab 2, partial success. Lab 3, team lost. Lab 4, confirmed destruction. Lab 5, unknown, ship missing. Lab 6, total failure. Kale's fists tightened. Half the mission was already gone, and it had only been 40 minutes. They were ready, Rika said quietly. Her voice came through the cum from medbay, her face pale, armor cracked. Kale nodded. They wanted us to come. Wanted us to strike first. He turned to the screen. Then we finish it. But just then, every console went black. Lights flickered. A deep sound like a low growl code through the ship. The AI stuttered. Signal breach. Internal code injection. Origin. Unknown. Kale looked around sharply. Are we being hacked? No. Something is broadcasting. Then the speakers turned on. Tomas's voice clear. Calm. Kale, I wanted to see if you still had the fire. Rika's voice came through in a whisper.
Ice.
Inside our systems? This isn't revenge, Tomas said. This is evolution. You built us to survive hell. Now we've become it. Kale stood, face cold as iron. Then welcome to war, Tomas. The screens returned. A new map appeared. It showed the final swarm Mega-Hive. Location KX991. Every other hive was a warning. This one was the core, the birthplace of the new swarm. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Across the stars, Kale turned to the crew. No more labs. No more missions. He paused. Now we strike the heart. The Deathworlders did not rest. Not after what they saw. Not after what they lost. Rika stood at the front viewport of the Nightingale, watching the stars stretch and twist as they raced toward the last. Target KX-991, the swarm's new capital. The place where Tomas now ruled Dor was ruled by something far worse. She clenched her fists. Her body still hurt from the last mission. 3 ribs cracked. 1 shoulder burned when she moved. But she didn't care. She didn't come this far. To stop, Kale stepped beside her. His face was cold steel. His eyes locked on the void ahead. We go in fast. We hit hard. No second wave. What about survivors? She asked. There won't be any. She didn't argue. The ship dropped. Out of warp, everyone on the bridge went silent. Before them floated a planet that didn't look like a planet. It was alive, covered in black spines. Hive towers stretched into orbit like claws. Fires burned in its atmosphere. Swarm ships circled like vultures, but something else hung above it. The Ark, a massive station half organic, half machine bigger than any ship ever built by humans or aliens. Its shape shifted slowly in the dark, like it breathed. That's where Tomas is, Kale said. How do we get in? We don't sneak. How? We go through the front. The battle plan was simple. All ships would launch full assault on the Ark. Drop pods would pierce the hull. Rika's team would enter the core chamber, plant the Hellfire bomb. It would vaporize everything inside. One use, one chance. If the bomb goes off, Rika asked, what happens to us? Kale looked at her. We don't come back. She nodded. I figured. Minutes later, the Deathworlders launched. The sky lit up with war. Fighters cut through swarm interceptors. Hammered hive towers with plasma cannons. The Ark opened its belly and released a wave of creatures flying hybrids, screaming in strange, broken voices. Rika's drop pod tore through it all. Her squad was silent. No prayers, no fear. Only focus. The pod slammed into the Ark's side. The walls screamed yes, screamed as if the structure itself was alive. They blasted the hatch and entered fast. Inside was chaos. Corridors pulsed with red veins. Doors opened and closed like mouths. Lights blinked in patterns that weren't just code, were language. Then the whispers started. Rika heard them first. Rika. Stay. We're not gone. You could be more. She pressed forward. The team fought there. Way toward the core-killing hybrids, dodging traps, setting charges behind them. At one junction, a beast lunged and took her second in command. Another soldier stayed behind to hold the gate. 3 left now, then 2, then Rika stood alone at the door of the core. It slid open without a sound, and there he was. Tomas, or what was left of him. He stood in a chamber of glass and light, veins of power running into his arms and chest. His face was still his, but his eyes were not. You came, he said. Rika raised her rifle. He didn't move. I wanted you to see it, he said quietly. What we built, what we became. You became a monster, she said. Double quotes. No, I became free. Slow. They called us Deathworlders because we survived the worst. The swarm offered more than survival. They offered unity, peace. A way to grow. To become something greater. You murdered millions, she said. He didn't argue. He only nodded because Earth couldn't see the future. Still believe in war, fire. Ending what you don't understand. Came to end you. Tomas tilted his head. You can. Kill me. You can even destroy the Ark. But it's too late. A hologram flared behind him. It showed the galaxy. Swarm signals blinking everywhere. Earth was the last to fall in line. Now it's just a matter of time. Rika stared at him, then at the detonator in her hand. She stepped closer. I'm sorry, she said. Tomas looked at her one last time. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes. The old him, then it was gone. She pressed the trigger. The chamber. exploded in white fire. From orbit, Kale saw the core light up. The arc shook. The swarm screamed in unison. The entire station folded in on itself, imploding as the Hellfire bomb tore through every system. Ships caught in the blast were vaporized. Swarm hives below began to collapse, losing their signal. Their song, the mind that held them all together, was dead. The war was over, but the price had been everything. Later, Kale walked through the wreckage of the Nightingale. Half the ship was gone. Most of the crew, too. But Earth had sent reinforcements. And with the Ark destroyed, the swarm across the galaxy had gone silent. Rika's body had not been found. Some said she burned in the blast. Others said she stayed behind to fight, till the end. But Kale knew her better than that. If there was even a spark left of her, she would be fighting still. The Council sent a message days later. Short, cold. Thank you. The threat is neutralized. Stand down. Kale never replied. He turned to the stars. The war had ended, but something darker had begun. Because Earth had burned the enemy. But in doing so, they had become legends once again. And the galaxy would never forget what happens when you call the Deathworlders back. The black ship cut through space like a blade. Inside, everything was quiet. The soldiers said nothing. No music played. Only the low hum of the engines and the distant clicks of armor being locked, weapons being checked. General Kale stood alone. In the command chamber, staring at the rotating image of Veltra Prime on the holodisplay. He had once fought on a world like this, long ago, back when he was still young, back when Earth was part of the Council. Before they were pushed out, before humans were called monsters and forced to leave. He had not heard that name in decades. Swarm. He thought they were gone. They weren't. Kale turned toward the officers gathered behind him. Men and women built for war, not enhanced by drugs or machines. It's built by Earth itself. The gravity, the beasts. The storms they had shaped humanity into something the rest of the galaxy feared. Send the report, Kale said. A small drone lit up and vanished into a micro-wormhole, carrying their message home, back on Earth deep. Under old mountain ranges, alarms flashed, screens lit up. The Deathworlders were back in play. And now, Earth had a choice. It didn't take long. A voice came through the long-range comms. A single word, confirmed. The order was clear. Deploy. Kale turned to his soldiers. This is not a search mission anymore. This is a containment. Strike. The soldiers nodded. Target, asked the squad leader, a tall, silent woman with scars across her face. Veltra Prime. Underground hives. Level 1 fire clearance. A low murmur filled the ship. Level 1 meant full destruction, no survivors. No traces left. Kale watched the hologram shift into battle plans. We hit them fast. No warnings. This is not a war of words. This is a burn mission. The soldiers began to move, checking armor seals, prepping fuel lines, locking flamethrowers. Scanning maps in the lower decks, Rika stood with her squad. Her armor hissed as it sealed shut. She loaded a fresh power core into her rifle. She felt calm, focused. But something in her chest wouldn't stop tightening. She remembered the beast that had come out of the ground, the way it screamed, the way it moved like it already knew them. And the signal it sent, this wasn't just a random attack, it was a warning. She glanced at her Team 6 hardened warriors. Some were older, some fresh like her, but they were Deathworlders. Deathworlders never back down. Time to go, someone said. The strike ships launched. 5 of them, each blacker than space itself, dropped into the upper atmosphere of Veltra Prime. Inside Kale's ship, the silence broke as the clouds parted. The surface of the planet looked worse, up close. Towers collapsed like bones. Craters filled with black ooze. In the distance, something moved large and slow, dragging itself across the ruins. They dropped fast. As the landing ramp opened, heat slammed into them. The air was heavy. The ground below shimmered like it was alive. Kale stepped out first. his heavy boots crunching against dead stone. The rest followed. Each soldier had one job: find the nests, burn them. Rika's squad was assigned to the eastern ruins, once a living zone, a charred skeleton of streets and metal bones. She walked through a broken hallway with her rifle raised, eyes scanning every shadow. Nothing moved, but she could feel it, like being watched. Then her comms sparked. "Movement detected," came a voice. "Below you." She turned just in time to see a grate burst open. Something small and fast shot out like a crab, but with eyes. Too many eyes, it screeched her. Rifle barked, fire hitting it midair. The creature fell, twitching. Then the floor shook. All units contact. Someone shouted over the comms. The ground exploded. Beneath them, claws, teeth, armor, screams. The swarm was here, hundreds of them, some crawling. Some leaping rushed out of the ruins like a flood of insects. They came from walls, floors, tunnels. Each one moved with sick intelligence. But her soldiers didn't panic. They formed a circle. Weapons fired in all directions, burning, shattering the wave of beasts. Rika's heart pounded as she pulled the trigger again and again. Her rifle heating in her hands. Flames danced. She switched to her sidearm and kept moving, stepping over a fallen creature's body. Then a voice in her helmet. "Rika, left." She turned, too late. Something hit her hard. She flew back, slammed into a wall. Her vision blurred. The beast stood. Above her, its mouth opened wide. Then a burst of light, it exploded. She gasped as a hand grabbed her. Her teammate pulled her up. "Stay on your feet." They moved fast, now clearing each section room by room, burning every swarm they found in. The center of the ruins, Kale planted a speak-a-glowing device that began to hum. "Signal jammer online," he said. "They can't call for backup now." But even as he said it, he knew something was wrong. Too many, too organized, and the hive songed, the low vibration they always made. It hadn't stopped. Not once. It meant one thing. This was not a small nest. This was a capital hive. Back on the ship, orbiting above, the AI confirmed it. New data from seismic scans, estimated hive depth over 20 kilometers, multiple heat signatures. Kale heard the report in his earpiece and froze. One core signal, A. Queen A. Opened. Comes to all squads. Evacuate surface immediately. We're going to burn it from orbit. The soldiers began falling back, but the swarm didn't. They kept coming like they wanted to delay them. Kale knew the move. They were protecting something. He cursed under his breath. "Rika," he said. "New orders. You and your squad hold the gate long enough for us to reach the shuttle. Then fall back. I'll give the burn command myself." Rika didn't argue. She turned to her team. "Let's go." The squad moved to the broken courtyard. At the edge of the ruins, what was once a marketplace, now a battlefield. Swarm poured in from the shadows. The team met them with fire and steel, one by one. The other squads reached the shuttle. Rika's squad held. They didn't step back. They didn't fall, even as the ground shook. A scream rose louder than anything they'd heard before, from deep underground. Something massive began to rise. The Queen was coming. Kale stood at the ramp, watching. He knew the Queen wouldn't make it to the surface in time. That wasn't the point. She had already called for help. The sky above them rippled. The AI spoke. Multiple warp signals incoming. Estimated 4. No, 6 swarm vessels. Kale clenched his jaw. No time left. "Rika." Now, she didn't respond. "Rika." Still nothing. He turned to his officer. "She's not coming." Kale stared at the burning ruins. "Close the ramp," he ordered. The shuttle lifted below. Fire covered the city as orbital weapons fired. Beams of light pierced the crust of the planet Veltra. Prime shook. Explosions ran through the tunnels. Hive walls cracked and fell. The Queen's scream was cut off mid-note. Then silence. The ship returned to orbit. Kale stood before the holodisplay again. The data fed in. Gone. Activity. Swarm activity. 0. The planet was dead again, but in his chest, he felt no victory. The swarm had returned, and they had evolved. Earth had won the first battle, but this was only the beginning.